What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing maybe not the most creative team that I've ever put together, as a Mudboy and two normal flying types in the back was very popular back in the Noctowl meta. However, I'm going to be running Shadow Staraptor with this new fast move Sand Attack as a safe swap in an attempt to bait out Shadow Pidgeot's hardest counters and allow it to sweep in the endgame. Now I will admit, whilst I was able to flip switch advantage up against certain steel types, Sand Attack did feel like a massive hindrance in basically any other matchup, so I definitely wouldn't recommend it, but it was still a very fun team to run. Something else that's quite frustrating is that as I was putting this video together, I just got a rank 26 Shadow Pidgey as a Pidgeot for the Great League, and the one I've already built is rank 1000 and something because of the CP it goes to, despite not having the worst looking stats. So that's one of the unfortunate things about being a content creator and wanting to build new Pokemon as soon as possible. You typically end up building suboptimal IV Pokemon and usually getting much better IVs not long after, but that is just how it goes. So with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Which of these scenarios is more painful? When you bait and the opponent calls it and doesn't shield, or when you full send a nuke and the opponent does shield? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, the Shadow Quagsire into Sableye. Now we've got an ABB style team, we've got two Pokemon that do resist Shadow Claw, so I safe swap into my Shadow Staraptor, and the opponent falls for the bait as they bring in their Registeel. We're going straight for the close combat, grabbing an early shield advantage in this matchup. The opponent will just barely make it to a charge move before we make it to close combat number 2, but they go for a Flash Cannon there, so slightly cheaper than the Zap Cannon, but they don't debuff my attack. So close combat number 2 coming through, grabs the final shield from the opponent, and we make it to a third close combat in time, and this will certainly take out the Registeel. They come back in with the Sableye, and here I did consider using a shield. Very good timing by the opponent there to throw just as I'm making it to the fly, but foul play takes us out. We come in with the Pidgeot, and the opponent is not going to throw a charge move straight away, so as Jamie Finn would say, get that Swampert off my screen. We one-shot them with a Brave Bird, and this is just going to showcase the insane closing power of the Shadow Pidgeot. We can just safely shield up a foul play. Quagsire done literally nothing in this first battle. We go for Brave Bird number 2. Brave Bird takes out the Sableye, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Shadow Quagsire into Wigglytuff. So this is also not a great lead matchup for me. Typically we would swap out, but Shadow Staraptor, especially with Sand Attack, definitely isn't going to be winning this matchup up against the Wigglytuff. So instead, we stay in. We initially go for back-to-back Aqua Tails, and then depending on whether they shield or not, we might swap out here. And they do end up shielding, so unfortunately I'm not going to swap out here. What I'm going to do is shield this up. What I didn't want to do is then have my Staraptor debuffed with an Icy Wind as we swap it in. So instead, we go for the Aqua Tail. We've now put them into farm down range, and the opponent is going to choose to just stay in with their Wigglytuff. They're now thinking about what to do. They're going to come in with Annihilate, and this is a matchup where it would be so much better if we were running Wing Attack. Unfortunately, this Sand Attack's really not doing much damage, and the opponent can go for a full counter farm down just as we reach the second fly, which is agonizing for me, but it is what it is. We are now going to come in with the Pidgeot. If they're running Ice Punch, this isn't looking too good for us. Going to shield the first charge move here. They do go for the Ice Punch. We should live another Ice Punch here, but it will be very close. So Ice Punch coming through is going to get us low. I was about to click on the Aerial Ace there, but instead I catch the foul play onto my Shadow Quagsire, and now all I have to do is build up to 100 energy, go for a Brave Bird here. Brave Bird, as we've already seen, easily takes out the Sableye, and we've got an Aerial Ace to throw into the Annihilate here. Aerial Ace takes out the Annihilate, and once again Shadow Pidgeot closing so strong in the Open Great League, and I'm able to take that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we're going to see a Shadow Tentacruel in the lead. They safe swap into a Dragonair. We're going to go for a Stone Edge. Honestly, could have probably baited there. Shadow Dragonair, well actually this isn't a Shadow Dragonair actually, so never mind, but typically a Dragonair is going to shield the first charge move regardless of what you throw. And then here, I realised Aerial Ace wasn't quite going to take them out, so I don't really think it's worth throwing there. Instead, I'm going to farm up a ton of energy, then go for the Aerial Ace, and Aerial Ace from this range will be taking out the Dragonair. Now I could go and full send a Brave Bird, but instead I'm actually going to go for the safer play, which probably was the wrong play there as the opponent no shields that, but I will make it to Aerial Ace number 2. The opponent will be shielding the next charge move. We're now going to come in with the Quagsire. They've got a Jump Off in the back, and this is once again another matchup where running Sand Attack actually is really bad for us because a fly doesn't quite one-shot them, but acrobatics is going to be taking out the Staraptor there, and of course sand attack and the mud shots are triple resisted, so I still have to throw a charge move to get rid of the Jumpluff. We've got an Aqua Tail loaded, but unfortunately this is resisted damage. It won't be taking out the Shadow Tentacruel, and a Scald from this range, if it doesn't KO, will put us into farm down range, but it actually does just take out the Quagsire, and unfortunately we do lose that game. So GG's to the opponent there. That was a matchup where having wing attack on my Staraptor, we would have just very comfortably won that, but it is what it is. Into next game, we're going to see a Whiscash in the lead. We go for the CMP tie here. I'm going to let this first move go through as the opponent goes for a Scald. We are then going to bank an Aqua Tail, then swap into my Shadow Staraptor, and for whatever reason, the opponent comes in with a Licky Tongue, which is a very bad matchup for them. We are, of course, double resisting the lick damage. Of course, I'm going to let the first Body Slam go through because I will now debuff my defense with a close combat, but the opponent no shields. It one-shots the Licky Tongue, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with a Charger Bug, so I'm going to go straight for the Fly here. Fly is still going to deal big damage in this matchup, puts them into Aqua Tail range, so we are now going to wait out the Switch Clock slightly, come back in with the Shadow Quagsire. We did bank the Aqua Tail. We go for one extra Mud Shot just to throw on good timing and gain slightly more energy as the opponent does end up no shielding, and at this point it's looking pretty good for us. We are going to go for another Aqua Tail here. This should be grabbing a shield from the opponent as they are fairly low, and at this point I'm going to swap. I tried to catch a Mud Bomb there. The opponent does end up holding on to the energy, going for a Scald, but Scald certainly not going to KO from that range. We can now go for an Aerial Ace. Of course, Aerial Ace not going to deal that much damage now that it is debuffed, but we can just wing attack, farm down the opponent, so the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Gligar in the lead, and this is where having Aqua Tail is very helpful. Of course, Stone Edge not going to do that much damage. It is only neutral up against Gligar, and Mud Bomb would be double resisted. So having Aqua Tail to two-shot them is very handy. The opponent not even going to full send a dig there. I'm always going to overfarm here, throwing just before they make it to the next charge move, and then pausing for one turn just to guarantee that they don't make that catch there. And the opponent's going to stay in with their Gligar. So clearly something in the back that does not want to see it. So, and once again, we are going to overfarm in this matchup, go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail grabs the final shield, and I'm still able to make it to another Aqua Tail there. The opponent overfarming, and we're able to take out the Gligar. We now come in with the Shadow Staraptor, and we do bait out the Lantern, which is great for me. But what I've realized here is that probably going for close combat just as they're making it to a Surf isn't the best play because it debuffs my defense, and as a result, they can just fully farm me down. So things aren't actually looking as good as I thought they were going to be looking here, as now I'm going to let this move go through. They are close to the back-to-back charge moves. The opponent is going to commit to a Thunderbolt, so I am able to throw on the CMB tie. Of course, Aerial Ace will be KOing from this range, and now it just depends, is a Brave Bird enough damage to take out a Azumarill, or can we make it to both a Brave Bird and an Aerial Ace? It's going to be very close. The opponent throws their Ice Beam straight away. We need to make it to an Aerial Ace in just 3 wing attacks, as a Brave Bird doesn't quite take them out there, but we get to the Aerial Ace in time, and Aerial Ace will of course take out the Azumarill, and once again Shadow Pidgeot closing very strong. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see a great lead. The opponent's going to save swap into double, and I will stay in initially, and I've got to be a little bit wary here. The opponent could be running Wild Charge on their double, so what I'm going to do is just stay in initially, shield the first charge move. Honestly, I don't really need to shield this. I'm not really sure why I am shielding a Body Slam, but we've made the mistake now. We're just going to go for an Aqua Tail. We put them into farm down range, and honestly, should have come in with my Shadow Staraptor here. It was very unlikely that I was just going to blind throw a Wild Charge there, so if I came in with my Staraptor, we could have got an energy advantage. They're obviously going to come back in with the Macargo, and having Stand Attack as a fast move, double super effective, and close combat for coverage would have been amazing for me, but instead we came in with the Pidgeot. We go for a Brave Bird that still does huge damage in this matchup. Now, unfortunately, we are going to be switch locked here. The opponent comes in with Chestnut, and this is another matchup where if I just had Wing Attack on my Staraptor, we can just so easily farm them all the way down. They take double super effective damage from the Wing Attacks, but Sand Attack is resisted. We go for the Fly there. They're probably going to bait me with a Frenzy Plant and then full send a Superpower. We shield, it is the Frenzy Plant. Honestly, that probably still KOs anyways. Shadow Staraptor is incredibly classy, but as a result, they can just go for the Superpower. This is game over. We should have just hard counted the opponent opponent there, but I massively flopped it, and as well, Staraptor having Sand Attack really didn't help me out there. But if we just came in with the Staraptor up against that double, we'd have been looking absolutely golden. But GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, we're going to see the opponent leading with a Carbink. They're going to swap into Voltaria. I'm just going to go straight for the Stone Edge here. Stone Edge is going to be no shielded by the opponent. This will put them into perfect farm down range for my Pidgeot. I can't come in with the Staraptor since Sand Attack would be double resisted, and they can probably just Dragon Breath farm me down if they wanted to shield in that matchup. But instead, we come in with the Pidgeot, we get the farm down, gonna chip with a Brave Bird up against the Carbink. Doesn't do nearly as much damage as it did up against that Macargo, but it doesn't really matter. We're now gonna go for an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is gonna be no shielded by the opponent. They're now gonna come in with a Shadow Whiscash, and things are looking pretty decent for us. We go for the Aqua Tail. It does about 40% of their health. We make it to another Aqua Tail already, and at this point, I am now just gonna swap into my Shadow Staraptor and hopefully catching a Mud Bomb onto the Staraptor. It is the Mud Bomb. That's double resisted damage. And at this point, it's looking like it's game over for the opponent. They can go for a Scald here, but I will be able to make it to a fly up against this Shadow Whiscash. This should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. The opponent is going to bank a ton of energy though. Swap back into the Carbink. At this point, I'm just going to let the Rock Slide go through. Honestly, I should just be able to go for a full Mudshot farm down here, but for whatever reason, I panic. I go for an Aqua Tail. Doesn't really make a difference here, as we are just one Mudshot away from the next charge move, and even if they're back-to-back charge moves, I do believe Shadow Quagsire will be winning CMP in this matchup, but it doesn't look like they had back-to-back moves anyways, as we can go for the Aqua Tail, taking out Shadow Whiscash, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Quagsire into Lantern. So a great lead matchup for me, but the opponent's going to safe swap into Wigglytuff, and honestly, we don't have a great response here, so I'm going to go straight for an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to hit for some decent damage here. Going to go for the second Aqua Tail immediately, and then I will be swapping into my Shadow Pidgeot, as I do need to preserve at least some of my health on the Quagsire there. The opponent is going to overfarm here, which I thought was an interesting play, but it's actually very smart from the opponent, as now they can come in with their Lantern and go for a massive farm down. And honestly, should have thrown my Brave Bird a lot sooner than this, because now we're going to debuff our defense, give them less farm, because unfortunately I think they will make it to back-to-back Surfs before we make it to a charge move on my Shadow Quagsire. And yes, of course, Aqua Tail is resisted damage. It wouldn't take them out, but it would apply some pressure, whereas now they can go for the back-to-back Surfs. We're still not at the Aqua Tail yet, so they go for Surf number 2, and then they swap into Venusaur. And once again, if we had Wing Attack, obviously, they would have still outpaced me to the charge move here, but we could have got them at least into the half health range. But I think we still would have just been fine with farm down anyways there. So GG's to that opponent, even though once again we sort of hard countered the opponent. We end up losing this game just because Shadow Staraptor is there to sort of flip switch advantage, but does very bad in the matchups that it's actually supposed to win. So yeah, a bit embarrassing there. But into the next game, we see a Shadow Skarmory in the lead. We go for an Aqua Tail. The opponent can see that they will live another one, so I instead go for a Stone Edge there, but the opponent does end up shielding. So smart play, heads up play from the opponent. We are now going to shield up the Sky Attack, go for another Aqua Tail. This will not quite be enough damage to take them out here. The opponent is going to shield anyways though, and they're going to overfarm, allowing me to make it to another Aqua Tail in time. Does this KO? It doesn't quite take them out there, so the opponent can throw a charge move. The opponent's going to go and full send a Brave Bird there, possibly throwing it just in case we try to swap out and catch the move there. But either way, it doesn't really matter. We can come in with the Shadow Staraptor. I'm hoping this Fly will KO. And Fly doesn't quite take them out there, but one more Sand Attack takes them out. And they've got a Swampert in the back, so the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Surfetch in the lead. So honestly, probably should swap out straight away, but instead I'm going to go for an Aqua Tail just because I will outpace them to the first charge move. They're going to shield, and now I'm going to swap into my Shadow Staraptor. And what I found is a lot of people just didn't swap out there. They just stayed in with their lead Pokemon. They go for a Night Sash, and now they swap. They catch the Fly onto Lantern. Amazing play by the opponent. I am in shambles right now, as they can go for a full Spark farm down. We're now going to wait out the switch clock here and then come back in with my Shadow Quagsire, but like I mentioned already, not running Mud Bomb, so this isn't actually that good of a matchup. I'm going to let the first Surf go through. I'm going to overfarm considerably in this matchup, and I overfarm too much, allowing them to make it to another charge move, in which case I have to shield this. I'm now going to go for the Aqua Tail here. Honestly, I was anticipating the opponent would swap back into their Surf Edge, and they do end up doing it, just not when I thought they were going to do it. So unfortunately, Leaf Blade will be taking me out. We can come in with the Shadow Pidgeot, go for a full wing attack farm down, but at this point, it's pretty much game over. I need something incredibly weak to the Pidgeot in the back, and it's not. It's a Skarmory that would easily take us out anyway, so unfortunately, we do end up losing that game quite badly, but GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Primeape in the lead, so we are going to stay swap into the Shadow Staraptor, and once again, the opponent just staying in here, but they will at least go for a Night Slash, so Night Slash is only neutral damage there. We can just barely tank it, and I will go for a close combat this time up against the Lantern, not going for that fly, which is resisted. We're now going to come in with the Shadow Quagsire, and this is looking pretty similar to the previous game, but we are at least knocked down a shield, so we're going to let the first Surf go through, and hopefully I've put them into range where an Aqua Tail will KO despite being resisted. So we go for the Aqua Tail here. Aqua Tail will take out the Lantern. I'm going to go for another Aqua Tail up against this Annihilate here. Going to be no shielded by the opponent, and we put them into farm down range, so I swap immediately into my Shadow Pidgeot. Going to shield this up. It is just another Night Slash, and they come in with a Shadow Gligar, so I'm going to bait with an Aerial Ace here. A little bit risky. If they would no shield one charge move, it probably would be the first move there, as I'm most likely to bait there, but the opponent does end up shielding. At this point, I realize my win condition is just full sending a Brave Bird this time around. Either they let this go through and I can just wing attack, farm down the Annihilate, or they shield it and now I can take them out with an Aqua Tail. So Brave Bird will mean that Aerial Ace takes me out. We can overfarm just slightly in this matchup. It's been a while since I've used Shadow Quagsire, so I can't remember if we win or lose CMP up against the Gligar, so I take no risk. I throw one fast move before they make it to the Aerial Ace, and that still allows me to make it to an Aqua Tail up against the Annihilate, and Aqua Tail will be taking out the Annihilate, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Mandibuzz in the lead. So we have Stone Edge as coverage, but of course, they are going to be double resisting my fast move damage, so this still isn't that great of a matchup, but we're going to go for that Stone Edge immediately, and Stone Edge, if it does go no shielded, unfortunately it does get shielded there, but it would do about maybe 60% of their health at most. Mandibuzz is a very bulky Pokemon here, and Stone Edge is non-stab, so we're going for a second Stone Edge here, and Stone Edge is going to be no shielded by the opponent. We are now going to bank some energy, swap into my Shadow Staraptor, and once again we bait out a Bastiodon this time around, and here I'm going to build up to the back-to-back close combats, going for the first one, and with the Sand Attack chip damage, close combat easily takes out the Bastiodon, and the opponent, I don't really know why they didn't shield that, but that's fine with me. We can now go for a fly. Honestly, probably should have gone for close combat there, just because I would have debuffed my defense by 2 more stages, giving them less farm, but that's okay. Gonna come in with the Shadow Pidgeot, no shield the first charge move as they go for a foul play. At this point I will be shielding the next charge move, and then I feel like they're probably 2 snarls away from the next charge move, so we're gonna go for 3 wing attacks, go for an Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace will be taking out the Mandibuzz, and the opponent's got Serperior in the back, so it's game over for them, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, another Mandibuzz in the lead. So once again, just going to be no shielding the first charge move. Going to go for a Stone Edge after one more Mud Shot here to throw on good timing. They go for Dark Pulse this time around. So Dark Pulse does do considerably more damage than a foul play. Stone Edge will be no shielded though. So I'm once again going to swap into my Shadow Staraptor, and the opponent comes in with Azumarill. Now, if I threw on slightly better timing, just one Sand Attack later, then I would actually make it to 3 flies before the opponent makes it to back-to-back Ice Beams. But unfortunately, because I didn't throw on perfect timing there, you're going to see it's going to be very close, but we are just 1 Sand Attack away from the next fly. So going for the first one, grabbing the shield there, and we've now got the energy for another fly. But unfortunately, I don't want a double shield there, so we'll just let it go down. And honestly, I should just come in with my Pidgeot here, because unfortunately, I'm going to have to full send a Stone Edge to get rid of the Azu. I tried to bait with an Aqua Tail, well, not really bait, just hoping that Aqua Tail would KO, but it doesn't take them out there. So I have to throw a second one, use up more energy than I needed to, and just wasting a lot of energy. And then there, I should have just thrown my charge move. Instead, I stayed in, banked a charge move there, but it's not really going to help me. I needed that damage immediately, because either way, we would have either put them into farm down range already for my Pidgeot, or grab the final shield to the point where that Aerial Ace would KO, but the opponent then swaps into Mandibuzz. They tank the Aerial Ace there, and unfortunately, they do make it to another charge move. So, Aerial Ace will not quite take out the Pidgeot there, but the damage is done. They're already at another charge move on the Mandibuzz, so of course, Aerial Ace will be taking out my Quagsire, and unfortunately we do lose that game. So GG to the opponent there. Into next game, we see a Shadow for Alligator in the lead. So I'm going to say swap into my Shadow Staraptor, and the opponent is going to stay in and then swap and catch the charge move onto Registeel. Man, I'm getting so many flies caught onto resisted Pokemon, but it's still fine for us. This isn't a Lantern. They're not just going to be able to farm me down. Instead, we can go for a close combat, taking out the Registeel. Honestly, possibly could have overfarmed just slightly more than that, but that's okay. At this point, I'm actually going to shield in this matchup there. Going to go for the fly immediately. I don't know if I threw it on good timing there, but it doesn't really matter too much. We go for the fly, grab the shield, and even these sand attacks are actually chipping up against this Shadow for Alligator. Hydro Cannon will be taking us out. We can now come in with the Shadow Pidgeot. And I'm hoping here, if they do full send an Ice Beam, I can just shield this and then fully Wing Attack farm them down. And they do go for the Ice Beam. We can now go for the full farm down. And they've got a Cresselia in the back. Excuse me there. We're going to go straight for the Brave Bird, dealing big damage up against Cresselia. And here, honestly, don't really care if this takes me out or not. The opponent going to go for the Grass Knot, but we hang on with 1 HP and a Dream. Amazing tank by the Shadow Quagsire. We go for an Aqua Tail, doesn't quite take them out there, but that's fine. We can just safely Wing Attack, farm them all the way down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Quagsire into Wigglytuff once again. So once again, going to farm up to 7 mud shots. Go for an Aqua Tail here. Aqua Tail is nearly enough damage to 2-shot them. So we go for the first one. They actually shield the first charge move there. That's fine with me, I suppose. We're going to go for a second Aqua Tail, and now I'm going to swap into my Shadow Staraptor. Of course, they will be able to debuff me with an Icy Wind. I'm definitely going to be shielding this up, as it would take us out. And the opponent's going to stay in initially, then swap into a Psycho Cut Medicham, which is very interesting to see. We're going to go for the Fly, and Fly is shielded by the opponent using their final shield. At this point, I'm happy to let Staraptor go down. They go for an Ice Punch, taking us out. They will actually outpace me to the next Ice Punch here, and I did think about no shielding, but they've got a Charmer still, so I might as well just safely shield up the Ice Punch. Gonna overfarm here, farming 2 back-to-back Aerial Aces, winning the CMP tie, and Aerial Ace will be enough damage to take out the Medicham. And now they're gonna come in with a Sableye, so I'm gonna overfarm here, farm up to 5 Wing Attacks, go for the Brave Bird. Brave Bird one-shots the Sableye once again, and I'm able to make it to another Aerial Ace on my Shadow Pidgeot. Aerial Ace will be taking out the Wigglytuff, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Quagsire into a Shadow Gligar. So once again, pretty good lead matchup for me. And we are once again going to go for 4 mud shots, then wait 1 turn just to make sure they don't make a catch. Go for the Aqua Tail, and that does huge damage, Shadow on Shadow. We are now going to no shield as the opponent baits with an Aerial Ace. Fine with me. Once again, going to overfarm here. Go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will, of course, be taking out the Shadow Gligar if they no shield, which they do. Now we're going to swap into our Shadow Staraptor. And what I realized here is I probably should bait with a Fly. Of course, close combat isn't quite going to take them out. They know that. But now I've debuffed my defense, and I'm not even able to make it to another charge move. I could have at least forced a shield or something. I don't know. But yeah, honestly, didn't play that Staraptor matchup up against Lantern very well throughout the entire day. But we're now going to come in with the Pidgeot. Unfortunately, they do make it to a charge move. I'm going to shield this up. It is the Thunderbolt, so of course I needed to shield that up there. But this isn't looking too good for us. I think I just have to no shield. Hopefully we can tank a Hydro Cannon, and we do tank it. Remember, Shadow Claw is double resisted. It's also a non-stab fast move, so is this going to allow me to make it to back-to-back charge moves before they can fully fast move farm me down? The opponent does make a mistake by throwing a charge move here. We're going to make it to the back-to-back Aerial Aces. Aerial Ace, not the strongest hitting move here, but will it be enough damage to take out the Feraligatr from this range? It's going to be close. And Aerial Ace doesn't quite take them out there, unfortunately, and they are able to resist it, Shadow Claw, farm me down, and take that game. But GG's to the opponent there, into the next battle, and possibly the final battle of this video. The opponent's going to say swap into Annihilate, so I'm actually going to go for back-to-back Aqua Tails here. Obviously not expecting to grab a shield with the first one, but this should apply some shield pressure. Otherwise, I can just fast move farm them down with my Pidgeot, and instead, I'm actually just going to tank this charge move here. The opponent is going to go for a Night Slash, not going to deal that much damage. We're going to bank an Aqua Tail, then swap into my Pidgeot. We've already seen it is Night Slash. If they're running Ice Punch as well, then fair enough, but they're not. It's just another Night Slash. We can tank that, and we come out with a Brave Bird loaded. So I'm just going to throw it straight away. Don't really care what comes in. It is the Charger Bug. Brave Bird is going to be shielded by the opponent, but that's fine. Unfortunately, with our debuff defense, they do still get off 2 more Volt Switches. We're now going to come in with the Shadow Quagsire, and the opponent overfarms here. I didn't realize we would lose CMP up against a Charger Bug, but that's okay. Stone Edge coming through, it will take out the Charger Bug, and they've got Azumarill in the back. So of course, Shadow Staraptor, doesn't matter what fast move we're running, we can very comfortably win this game here. Just going for the first fly. Fly is going to put them into range where one more fly will take them out. I did think about going for a BM close combat, but honestly, it probably wouldn't take them out there. So a second fly takes out the Azu, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.